All right, everybody, welcome to episode 8 of our 30 days of Marvel Rivals education. And today we're going to be talking about something that I think is incredibly important that a lot of people forget about, but I think it's very, very, very important. And that is understanding your role in a team fight. So a lot of people, they're like, hey, I have to secure every single elimination in this match on my own. Nah, that's not how it works. And a lot of people forget about that. So basically, you don't really need to pop off like every single fight, but you just kind of just need to play your role correctly. And if you play your role correctly, then you will be more than fine in most matches, I promise you. So basically, a full 6v6 engagement is where decision making, synergy, and roles really matter the most during rather than solo play. So basically, if you're on a support, do you know that you should be focusing on your teammates more often than focusing on your enemies? Stuff like that. I know that that seems very, very, very common knowledge, but I'm telling you, some people kind of forget that, and some people just forget and they're just like, hey, I gotta help eliminate the enemy team. No. If you help keep your team alive, that's amazing. So basically, the 3 core roles have different responsibilities. And I know that this is going to sound very kind of duh at the beginning, but just hear me out, guys. So tanks' jobs are primarily to create space, soak up the attention, and to disrupt enemies. So basically, engage when your team is ready, not when you are, if that makes sense. Because if you go in and your team's not ready, then you're kind of just throwing, the enemy team will just focus you down and you'll get eliminated in 2 seconds. So just make sure that your team is with you. Make sure that you're communicating to them. So many times I see a tank running in and they're like, well, I was creating space, where'd everybody go? Meanwhile, there's like 2 divers in the back that the rest of the team turns around for, but you don't. So make sure when you engage, your team is with you, because that is very, very, very important. And a lot of people miss out on that. Please remember that, guys, because I see it so often. Even I'm susceptible to it. I do that a lot of the times when I'm playing tank and I don't even realize it. And so I need to get better at that myself. So it isn't just the kind of thing where it's like, oh, only low levels. No, I do it too, guys. And I've realized that I do it and I'm trying to get better at it. So that's a big thing. So another thing is, really, if you're on a dive tanks like Captain America or Hulk or something like that, don't just dive in alone. If you play to peel or kind of like lead the charge based on your team comp, if you can dive with another teammate, that is going to help the rest of your team so much, because the rest of the enemy team will be focusing on you and your ally that's you're diving with, and you will be able to soak up so much attention, and that will basically create a rift in the enemy team and they won't know which way to look. So that's awesome. Basically, some examples of that are, if a Captain America on your team is diving the backline, he's creating a lot of space because he's making the enemies turn around. Or something along the lines of Magneto zoning out like choke points. He's really good at holding space and holding position and slowly creeping up on the enemy to take that little bit of space that the enemy tries to hold. Magneto goes up, uses his shield, bubbles an ally, uses his shield again, just soaks up damage. He's really good at that. So just try and keep that in mind. So for damage, so let's shift from, instead of tank, let's switch to DPS. For damage, your primary job is to pressure key targets. So that is supports and other DPS. Tanks are going to basically be soaking up damage. If you can get into the habit of slightly ignoring them more, like, yeah, you can pump out damage into them and build up your ultimate really quickly, but you will win faster team fights if you focus the supports, because if you focus the enemy supports, then they won't have healing. They won't have healing, then you could play slow, and then you could just do whatever damage you need to do to them, and then that damage will be basically, not really, but permanent more or less, unless they get a health back. So that's why you always want to go for supports first. I know that it is a tough life to be a support, guys. I know, trust me. I've been flexing a lot, especially in Celestial and High Grandmaster. I've been flexing a lot, and trust me, guys, I understand that playing support's not fun. You're always the first to get targeted and everything. It is not fun. But that being said, that is the role, unfortunately, of DPS, is to take out the enemy support. So That's one of those things that you really want to focus on. If you can get into the habit of focusing that more often, that is going to be better for your overall team fight. So make sure you're doing it on that. Also, basically another primary job of DPS is to follow up on damage. So if your tank does a little bit of damage, tanks have kind of insane damage potential if you play them right. If you can follow up on that damage and combo and synergize at the same time, you can do unbelievable amounts of pressure to the enemy team, and they probably won't even know what hit them if you hit your abilities properly, and if you synchronize your abilities properly with your allies. It's kind of insane. Also, punish any kind of mispositioning, even if it's a tank. Like, yeah, I'm saying prioritize supports and other DPS, but if you see a tank that's like so far pushed up, punish that. Take them out with your team, call that out to your team, be like, hey, Stranger's out of position, Magneto's out of position, whatever tank it is, whatever character it is, say, hey, this character's out of position, focus, 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 focus. And guys, that is how you win a team fight so quickly, because then it'll turn into a 5v6, and then it'll turn to a 4v6, and then you'll be more than fine. You will be chilling. Also, a main thing that I need you guys that are rolling out as DPS, I need you guys to know, this is a objective based game. It's not deathmatch. So play your angles, play to live, and play for those objectives, because your job is to secure objectives, not secure eliminations, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, eliminations succeed and they get you a lot farther in the match, but play to prioritize that objective, because that is what wins you the match. Deathmatch, yeah, I mean, look, it's cool. Like get those elims up high. The higher the better. Right. But that being said, if you're getting eliminations but aren't really helping with the objective, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So try and remember that. Also, know your priority. I know I said it before, but I'm going to just instill this upon you guys because I think this is incredibly important. Please prioritize those supports as a DPS main. If you just pump out damage, if you're like that Moon Knight that's pumping out damage into the enemy tanks, you're just feeding support ults. Like, yeah, it's good to pump out damage, especially if their tanks are sitting closer to the other teammates, because then you'll just ricochet damage. But if you're just pumping damage into tanks, the enemies will get their support ults and they'll win fights most times. So just prioritize those targets, please. I really can't stress that enough. And then finally, we have the jobs of the supports. Primary job is to sustain and stabilize your team, and also to deny enemy kills. Basically, what I mean by all that is to sustain your team is sustain their health bars, let them go on longer in the fights, because the longer your allies can stay alive is the longer the team fight will go on, the longer you can you can work towards that objective, whether it's acquiring the objective or denying the objective. And then stabilizing your team is when you are in trouble and you're taking an insane amount of pressure. Support ultimates are insane in this game, and they provide so much unbelievable healing. So that is a great way to stabilize your team. In that way, you're not taking as much damage. Basically, a great way to show that is with Star-Lord's ultimate. Star-Lord does insane amounts of damage, but one support ult will completely deny him. Like, there's every single support ult, basically, more or less, that does healing will deny his ultimate. And I say that as a Star-Lord main. I love Star-Lord, but it will. So make sure you're able to keep your team alive and stabilize them. Also, denying those enemy eliminations, like I just said, it will deny the enemies from being able to, acquire eliminations on your team, and from there they will not be able to get their way with the objective. So try to keep that in mind. And also, a great way to tell people is don't overextend for heals. Just be smart with your positioning. You don't not every single support needs to be on top of their other character, on top of their allies. So if you have that smart positioning and you can kind of avoid as much line of sight with the enemies as possible while still being able to heal your team, that is the way to go, because you want to take as little pressure as possible. The less pressure you take, the more time you can just spend supporting your allies, keeping them alive, and not having to worry about, oh no, this guy's diving me, this guy's putting pressure on me. And then you're like, hey, do I focus this person that's diving me? Do I heal the people on my team? It keeps you in a singular mind of support, stabilize, sustain, all that stuff for your team. So the more you position better, the better it is for you to just not have as many things as possible on your mind, if that makes sense. Also, please use your utility, like your abilities and all that stuff, use that really smartly. So you have to know when to use it reactively or proactively. There are certain abilities that are a lot better for proactive. Like if you see somebody diving in on the enemy team and you're like, hey, I need to use something like a Atom Soul Bond or I would be eliminated, use it. You can't use it after the fight because you'll be eliminated. So use it proactively and you'll be able to keep your team alive. Stuff like the Loki runes that will keep you alive, stuff like that. Or reactively, if you hear an ultimate go off, there's a lot of characters in the game with support ultimates that can heal through most other ultimates in the game. So if you coordinate with your other supports, be like, hey, I'm going to support ult first. You hear that other ultimate go off because the voice cues in this game are very important. You hear that sound cue go off. Boom, reactively throw out your ultimate. It's a nice little trade. Perfect. Your team can really take the forefront on that next fight. So it's awesome. So I just want to go over a few common role mistakes first before letting you out of class for today. So for tanks, like I said earlier, I know I talked about this, but engaging alone, chasing eliminations, ignoring backline pressure, those are all ways that your tanks fail you. So make sure that you're not doing that. Engage with your team. Don't chase those eliminations because they're right there. If you leave your team and you leave them wide open when there's other enemies around, you are the problem right there. Like, you are there to protect your team. So make sure you're doing that. And also, don't just ignore the backline of your team because you're up front. You can always throw out a little bit of, if you're Magneto, you can throw bubbles to your backline and you will not miss that bubble whatsoever. Because if you bubble your backline, they're able to stay alive. They can keep you healed. Just things like that. It's really interesting to think about. For damage, I mean, I feel like this is all pretty common sense, but I do want to say this regardless. Fighting 1v6, like, obviously don't do that. Like play with your team. Don't go and take off angles all the time. Off angles are really good and really awesome to use, but just don't do that every fight. Be smart about it. Don't just be caught out, because if you get caught out, then your team's going to be down 5v6 and you don't want to do that. Make sure that you are playing smart, playing with your team. Also, do not, and I'm saying, do not ignore your supports. Peel for them. If you're not peeling for your supports, that is one of the biggest problems you can do in the game. And I'm telling you, I could make an entire series of peeling for your supports, because I feel like not enough people do it. And if you peel for your supports more often, your supports will be a lot happier and they'll be able to have a better time of healing you. So basically do that. And also, don't have bad target priority. Like I said earlier, prioritize the enemy supports. If you do that, if you prioritize the other enemy DPS as well, you will be more better off in the fight. Tanks, they're there to absorb damage and take pressure. If you do that, you're kind of just wasting a little bit of time. But that being said, you can put them out of position. You could put pressure on them and, you know, see how it goes. And then finally, for supports, do not stand in the open. I see it so many times where I just see like an Atom or somebody or like a Luna that's just like in the middle of an open field, just healing away, just trying to help their allies, but not having any idea of positioning. Use those corners. Don't forget about that. Also, there's two main things that I really need to think about, and it's late ultimate usage, where your allies have already gotten an elimination, one of your allies has already been eliminated, and then you use your support ultimate, or doubling up on your support ultimates. Talk to your other supports. If you're on support and you've got one or two other support players on your team, coordinate with them, talk to them, be like, hey, I'm going to use my ultimate first in this situation if I get it first, so please let me go first, because you don't want to double up during that. Or a good way to do that is for something like, it's a good way to talk to your allies and be like, hey, if this person on the enemy team ults, you ultimate. If this person on the enemy team ults, I will ultimate. So that's always something to think about. It's one of those common things that I see all the time is, if Star-Lord ults, you always have like Rocket or something ultimate, because you can kind of heal through it with a Rocket ultimate. But if any other character ultimates, you can be like, hey, Luna, you ultimate as well, you know, something like that. So that's just things that you can talk to your allies about, and the more you coordinate, the better off you'll be, I promise you. So guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. This has been a really fun episode that I really enjoyed. Like I say in most of the videos, I've seen an insane amount of new people come to the channel. Thank you for all the new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. I really can't stress enough how much I just thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. So if you're still here in the video, like the video, it helps me out so much. Comment what is your favorite role in the game right now. I am a DPS main, but that being said, I've been playing a lot more tank lately and I love it. I love it so much. And like always, if you could subscribe to the channel, if you haven't already, please do that. I would really appreciate that. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Later.